Circumstances. We ourselves, everything that came before us and everything that comes after is nothing more than a coincidence of circumstances. In fact, this is precisely the difference between us, how exactly we took advantage of this or that coincidence of circumstances in our lives. My name is Henry Keane. I'm a volunteer and journalist. I've been in Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. During all that time, I've heard from others and seen with my own eyes many stories of this war. Terrifying, touching, inspiring. They all were highly emotional, but most of them I eventually forgot. One story gave way to another in this whirlwind of life and death that raged in Ukraine because of the war. But not this story. This story called out to me, and I heard it coming across an article by the Wall Street Journal's leading writer, Alistair MacDonald. The article covered a grim topic, the frontline losses amongst Ukrainian nation's elite. It also spoke about those Ukrainian fighters who made their choice to leave behind their successful careers. The article also mentioned the captain of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Captain Ukraine, if you will, Andriy Zotov, a Ukrainian scientist and marine biologist. On February 24, 2022, the day Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Zotov was working at the Vernadsky research base in Antarctica. Leaving behind his scientific endeavors, Zotov spent a month to reach the front line. He fights, suffers severe injuries, miraculously survives. After recovering, Zotov dreams of returning to science. One way or another, it is clear that I have discovered a true journalistic treasure, the story of Captain Ukraine, who survived. Andriy Zotov, a scientist and a soldier who fights on both fronts, scientific and military. An incredible story, but how many incredible stories remain untold due to coincidence of circumstances? After a month of approvals, meetings and presentations, the circumstances finally coincide in my favor. We have our permission. We leave Kyiv for Warsaw by car. These days, only fighter jets fly over Ukraine. Then Paris on a regular plane. Then comes a 14-hour flight to Chile, a city where we'll stay for a few days.
When you told me that's how you felt inside, did you mean it or were you just messing with my mind? When you told me that's how you felt, did you mean it or way deep inside yourself now? Your lips I'm kissing on the white cliffs of Dover, see my heels and now my head has fallen over them. And all I know, she's rarer than a four-leaf clover, and she's mine and I'm hers.
The next morning we depart for Punta Arenas, the southernmost tip of the earth, with a population slightly over 100,000 people. Further lies only Antarctica. It is here where we'll board a ship that will take us to the Vernadsky Research Polar Base, but for now the Magellan Islands, not the friendliest place on the planet. In 1851, the Daredevils attempted to sail from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific through the strait discovered by Ferdinand Magellan. Of the 16 ships and 2,200 settlers who initially set sail from Spain, only 4 ships made it to the islands, with just 300 settlers surviving. We're lucky. Today the weather in Punta Arenas is sunny and pleasant. Here in the harbour we are awaited by an icebreaker, or more accurately, Polar Research Ice-class vessel Noosphere. She will carry us to the Vernadsky Research Base through Antarctica's endless ice. On the 15 million square kilometers of the white continent, 90% of the planet's ice is concentrated. Noosphere is docked and is waiting for the members of the 29th Antarctic Scientific Expeditions team to arrive, and I am damn proud to be the first journalist in the world to be allowed to film on her deck.
We are aboard of Noosphere, a research vessel acquired from the British Antarctic Survey. Preparations are underway for the next voyage to Antarctica and the Vernadsky station.
Noosphere is gearing up for a journey of over 2,000 kilometers from Punta Arenas through the notorious Drake Passage and further through the polar waters to Antarctica. The work is non-stop. The team of scientists arrives in just 2 days. There's plenty to do. Provisions, medical supplies, fuel, scientific equipment. Not only must the Vernadsky base be fully supplied for the next 6 months of a complete remote, but a useful cargo must also be delivered to other international polar bases. All this needs to be loaded, stowed and fixed securely. Punta Arenas, the southernmost urban settlement on the planet, with over 100,000 permanent residents, a city surrounded by mountains and the ocean. Across the strait lies the Tierra del Fuego archipelago. Now, at the end of the season, the city is almost empty. Its economy relies heavily on tourism, oil production in the region, and, of course, Antarctica. Just like Argentina's Ushuaia and New Zealand's Christchurch, Punta Arenas is a prime launch point for exploring expeditions to the White Continent. For Noosphere, this is her 3rd expedition to Antarctica. The 29th Ukrainian Antarctic Scientific Expedition arrives. That's me running. Gazing at the night-lit city, I nearly missed the moment. However, fortunately for you, I did not. The man leaning on the stick is Captain Andrei Zotov. Well, at least he's here. From his brief glance thrown at me, it's clear Zotov isn't too keen on journalists. Well, neither I can be called a big fan of marine biologists. Some of the scientists know each other from previous expeditions, others are first-timers aboard Noosphere. The 29th Antarctic expedition consists of 14 participants, including 9 scientists, 3 biologists, 3 meteorologists, and 3 geophysicists. The resting 5 make up the life support team: a doctor, a chef, a system administrator, a mechanic, diesel operator, and an electrician. For the first time in 27 years, the expedition includes 4 women. Leading the team is one of Ukraine's most experienced polar scientists, geophysicist Yuri Otruba, embarking on his 8th overwintering mission. Ukraine's Vernadsky research base is located on Galindas Island of the Argentine archipelago near the Antarctic Peninsula, 15,000 kilometers away from Ukraine. Prior becoming Vernadsky, it was the Faraday station established by Great Britain. On February 6, 1996, British Polar Research Base was handed over to Ukraine for £1, then renamed in honor of the distinguished Ukrainian scientist Volodymyr Vernadsky, the founder of the concepts of the biosphere and the noosphere and the first president of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine. That price of £1 was in charity. Under existing law, when scientific activity ceases, Antarctica must be left just as it was before it started. That meant dismantling the Faraday station to its last nail and shipping it all back to England, an expensive undertaking. This very £1 coin is still kept at the station's Faraday bar, the southernmost bar on planet Earth. Amongst the names of visiting yacht captains, you'd find here names like Bill Gates, or Victoria's Secret Angels Josephine Scriver and Jasmine Tokes, and many other global celebrities. Still, somehow, only their names stuck in my memory. The primary purpose of Vernadsky Base is conducting scientific research. The station's entire workflow, as well as base operator in Antarctica, National Antarctica Scientific Center of Ukraine, NASC, is dedicated to that mission. Throughout the year, the station becomes home to 12 to 14 polar scientists, The NASK's director, Yevhen Dicky, is a marine biologist by training and a veteran of Russia-Ukrainian War. In 2014, he became commander of the 2nd Company of the Aidar Volunteer Battalion, but was later demobilized because of injuries. In 2018, he took over NASK and introduces several critical reforms, including abolishing the unwritten rule that had prevented women from taking part in Antarctic overwintering missions. On February 28, 2022, Dicky was supposed to fly to Chile and then board Noosphere with the other scientists of the Ukrainian Antarctic expedition. However, on February 24th, everything changed. It became clear Dicky would need no plane tickets and there will be no work in the Southern Ocean this year. Still, the main task remained to somehow send the shifter's crew to the polar base.
All right, let's go. I'll join you a bit later. See you there.
Noosphere is ready to set sail. The pilot is on board.
Morning, shift mate. 8:30 morning to the vessel. See?
Want some coffee or tea?
It's possible breakfast.
Huh? Breakfast.
Yeah?
You give one forward, one up, and one spin. Okay?
Okay. You mean what?
The captain and the pilot navigate Noosphere into the open waters. Shortly after departure, passengers receive a safety briefing and meet the crew.
Let's start with safety on board. You can see all the posters related to laundry and the bath schedule graphics. In case of an emergency, you'll be divided into groups, port and starboard.
It's automatic track?
No, it was made by the second mate.
Okay.
Of course, we are not first time here, you know.
In 1995, the British icebreaker James Clark Ross delivered the first members of Ukraine's first inaugural Antarctic expedition to the Faraday station, which soon becomes Vernadsky.
I name the ship James Clark Ross. May God bless her and all who sail in her.
On August 30th, 2021, in the port of Frederikshavn, Denmark, the Ukrainian flag was raised over the ship for the first time. It was renamed Noosphere on 29th, 2021. In February 2022, as Noosphere passes through the Bosporus, Captain Pavlo Panasyuk notices Russian warships entering the Black Sea.
The vessel had set sail from Odessa. As we crossed the equator, the news broke. The war in Ukraine had begun. The crew learned about it through the internet. Tension was high as everyone tried to contact home. Many couldn't reach their families for 2 weeks in a row, especially those from Mariupol or Kherson. We reached Punta arenas for the first time in 2022, loaded cargo and people, and continued to Antarctica. Journalists often asked tricky questions. Can you continue your work in Antarctica? No one believed we could do this work during the times of war. That first mission was tough, but we completed it successfully. Now, the ship is in her 3rd season and everything is going well.
The summer of 2024. We are in the east, just a few clicks away from the front line between Ukrainian and Russian forces.
Traffic is light here.
Joking about the traffic is Alexander Knyazhatko, a diesel-electric engineer of Ukrainian 26th Antarctic Expedition. Today, his colleagues from the Vernadsky station call him the Combat Penguin.
Just made my rounds. And look who's here, my buddy, Valery.
Adventure, extreme condition, and the opportunity to gain unique, valuable experience lured Alexander into the Antarctic expedition. Military service for him was a civic duty. In a war, every profession matters and people are a true treasure. Alexander comes from Drohobych in the Lviv region and holds a technical education. He worked at the Zasyatko mine, then in a company that produces wiring harnesses for the automotive industry. Everyone who knows Alexander describes him as a reliable person, always looking out for his friends and colleagues.
We've arrived.
Ми зараз знаходимося на колишньому місці.
This used to be my workplace. We had a headquarters right here, and officers operated from this very location. 2 days after I went for a leave, an enemy-guided bomb has hit the place. The building was destroyed, and there were casualties and injuries. My colleague, who held a similar position as me in our neighboring battalion, was amongst the injured. His assistant, a girl, suffered severe injuries. People should never think that being in headquarters means safer in any way. This location frequently came under fire by both artillery and cluster bombs. Like 152 caliber artillery shell recently landed just 70 meters from us. One of my unit's functions is engineering and Sapper operations. This includes constructing fortifications. As you can see, we've built and dug 2 trench shelters here. And we use appropriate equipment, like excavators. We prepare timber and create structures to protect personnel from that artillery shelling, glide bombs and the like.
And what did you do in Antarctica?
I was part of the life support team, by the way. Amongst other things, was responsible for maintenance, repair, and care of diesel generators. As you can probably imagine, without these machines, human life there is simply impossible. I also worked as a locksmith, carpenter, and welder. Also, I was a designated boat driver for distant ocean expeditions. We'd take a boat out to the ocean so scientists could learn penguins' behavioral patterns, photograph whales and tails, collect biopsies, and study nesting sites.
He came in and, within a week, took command of what was then called the support group, responsible for engineering troops, chemical defense, topography, electronic warfare, and more, as well as the direct operational control of the unit. In the Army, there are no inessential professions. The question is whether the person in the position is competent and capable enough of managing their duties properly. Other than that, everyone is essential.
This little machine was a big help, purchased with the assistance of my friends from the Ukrainian Antarctic expedition. It costs about $8,000, if I'm not mistaken. It's a real workhorse on the front line. Sappers use it to carry out combat tasks, and it can navigate places where nothing else in our area can. It's equipped with electronic warfare systems to protect soldiers from FPV drones. Still, despite being nimble, fast, and maneuverable, it did come under fire. You can see where a fragment went through the backrest and even pierced the seat. Fortunately, no one was in the vehicle at the time, so everyone's safe and unharmed. Frankly, it's an incredible machine.
From the dusty steppes of the east, we return to the icebreaker Noosphere, continuing our journey to Antarctica and the Vernadsky Research Polar Base. Mornings aboard the ship begin with breakfast, or more specifically, with a kitchen where breakfast is prepared. So how long you've been here?
On board? Well, for 8 months by now. This is my 3rd contract. I've got 3 kids and a wife back home in Ukraine waiting for me. I really want TBE there with them, but what can you do? Given the current situation, I can't return just yet. But I do hope to see them soon. Today, we're preparing baked fish and spinach sauce and liver cake. I'd say quite a modest menu, to be honest.
The chef is here for 8 months in a row. I'll be here for just a few weeks, so I really wish to help. But wishing and knowing how are 2 very different things. Second attempt. Damn journalists can't do anything right. The chef saves me from disgrace, and that poor salmon with me.
Well, I've been at sea for 23 years, so yeah, got a bit of experience.
Wishing I'd live in a generation with no haters in line. Human rights and no starvation. I want to let you know that. Wishing I would never ever go blind. And I gotta let you know. We shall be free, shall fight for the nation. You ought to know.
Delicious, and I know exactly what the secret is. The thing is, I have absolutely nothing to do with this wonderful lunch. While the residents of Noosphere are getting ready to their daily routines, I invite you to tour an icebreaker from within.
This is the incinerator room. Here, waste is separated. After separation, glass and thin metal go to the shredder. The shredder crushes and grinds the glass separately from the metal. Everything that can be burned and is permissible is incinerated. After everything is burned, almost nothing remains.
Noosphere is the flagship of the Ukrainian research fleet. The ship is just over 99 meters long and nearly 19 meters wide. Her full water displacement is 5,732 tons. On board, she carries several laboratories and winch systems that allow scientists to study the seabed at a depth of up to 8 kilometers. In addition, a crew of 27 people, the icebreaker can accommodate up to 50 scientists. The vessel's autonomy for up to 2 months allows for research to be conducted anywhere in the world's oceans. And this is the engine room control unit. Everything here is automated and controlled from the bridge.
This is a general console. We can operate it by all engines and check all parameters here. Now is control on the bridge. We change over to the bridge and they can operate from bridge.
Noosphere's captain's bridge. This helm steers the 100-meter-long icebreaker. In this part of the ship, she has the radar system and communication with the engine room, while the captain reassures those first-timers and the chief officer keeps them entertained. I descend into the ship, into the very heart of her, the engine room. To understand what and how everything works here, one would need much more time than I have at my disposal. Luckily, there is someone to ask.
This is our ballast treatment module, the company of maker Alfa Laval. It is included the UV lamp and special chemical. For pumping out the ballast water, we are necessary to keep there's some rules. This is new rules of IMO resolutions for using in general water.
Noosphere is equipped with 2 diesel-electric engines with a total of 8,500 horsepower. As per official data, the icebreaker can reach speeds of up to 12 knots, about 22 kilometers per hour. The chief engineer, however, says that in cold water her speed can even reach 17 knots. Up here on the bridge, all is calm. Or not. Emergency alarm wails throughout the ship. All passengers must put on their life jackets and gather in the mess hall immediately. We are divided into 2 groups, assigned a team leader and split into 2 sides of the ship.
I will read now. We'll go to starboard. Your team leader is Maslov Donbas. You just follow him after instruction. Right now I will start to read, just remember please. Баглай Тетяна, Мацибор Александр, Отруба Юрий, Прокопенко Василь, Суина Анна.
Ukrainians can tell the world a lot about living under constant anxiety. Literally. From my own experience, I can say that the main thing our daily bombings and air raid alerts have taught us is that fear is pointless. There is no point in being afraid, just do what you have to and come what may. We gather in special lifeboats, one for each side of the ship.
So, the principle of our lifeboat is like a floater. When we spread completely people on the sides equally, then we have nice floating. Even if this boat turning overhead, then it will return themselves to a float correct position.
It may seem a bit cramped and not too comfortable, but such a boat can remain at sea autonomously for over 2 weeks. There will be enough water and food for everyone.
All was great. Now you know what a general ship alarm sounds like and what you should do in response. In a real emergency, we must be fully dressed and ready.
We are being trained on how to properly put on our survival suits. I do volunteer, and if at the lifeboat it seemed cramped and uncomfortable to me, then it just seemed. But all of this is actually quite funny. I do joke and entertain everyone. After all, what could be funnier than a danger that isn't real? Donetsk region, the city of Sviatohirsk. We're just 15 minutes drive from Soledar and 20 from Bakhmut. To intimidate the locals, the Russians, upon entering Sviatohirsk, threw 3 bodies of Ukrainian soldiers right into the main street and did not allow to bury them for a month. A week before the invasion, the city's mayor defected to Russia. Today, Sviatohirsk is under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. All we have is a name and a probable location. Where and how a meeting with another hero, a Ukrainian Special Forces fighter, will take place, and will it in the first place? That we don't know. We can only wait. The land around us is literally scorched. That bridge was blown up by the Ukrainian forces to prevent the Russians from entering the village. Need to get to the other side? We'll do like locals do. On the right bank of Siversky Donetsk River stands the Sviatohirsk Lavra, an Orthodox monastery. Behind it, just up the hill, rises the local town landmark, a monument of Soviet official Fyodor Sergeyev, known as Comrade Artyom. During the time of the Ukrainian People's Republic, Sergeyev was one of those who fought against its independence. This massive sculpture, created by sculptor and filmmaker Ivan Kavaleridze, was erected in 1927. In 2023, Artyom wasn't decommunized, but rather renamed as a monument by the renowned sculptor Ivan Kavaleridze. And this is another Artyom, Artyom Ignatenko. He was born in 1991, the same year Ukraine gained independence.
I worked as a cook during the 26th Antarctic expedition in 2021.
Was it hard?
I wouldn't say so, no. I really liked it. The ambience made up for all the difficulties. The snow-covered mountains, the ocean, penguins too, birds, whales. That feeling that you step outside the base and there are no people. It's exhilarating.
Well, soldiers do not like people too much, don't they?
They don't like them at all.
Artem volunteered for the front after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, but it took him some time. The war caught him in Antarctica, where he was working as a cook in Ukraine's 26th Antarctic expedition. Still, later, he joined the Presidential Regiment, specifically the separate Presidential Brigade named after Hetman Bogdan Khmelnytsky, a special military unit within the Ukrainian ground forces.
After returning home, enlisted in the armed forces of Ukraine, this is my country. I don't want to see the enemy called Russia here. Look around. Just look at what they've done. If it weren't for them, none of this destruction would have happened.
Not long ago, Svyatohirsk was a resort town in Donetsk region. After intense fighting, shelling and acts of vandalism, after the betrayal of town's former mayor and 3 months of Russian occupation, most of its hotels, resort complexes as well as residential areas have been reduced to ruins. The Russians destroyed Ukrainian homes, infrastructure, schools and roads. The city is about 30 kilometers from the front line and active combat zones. Despite the constant threat of Russian shelling and the harsh living conditions, about 1,000 people still lives here, down from 9,000 before the war. You are looking at a fire that was ignited by a Russian missile strike. Ukrainians are digging it around but not extinguishing it. First, there aren't enough resources to put out every fire. Russian missiles strike daily, and secondly, every cloud has a silver lining. The fire clears out the local forests of mines and booby traps left behind by the Russians. We're strong because we're free. This is the slogan emblazoned on the patch of the 22nd Separate Special Operations Battalion, where Artem Ignatyenko serves. Since its formation on March 17, 2022, the battalion has fought from northern Kiev Oblast to the Eastern Front. Artem's unit defended Bakhmut and engaged the enemy on the Kupiansk front. An ordinary morning for an extraordinary unit. Draft, Lucky and the Bear. These are the call signs of men in Artem's squad getting ready to head out to the combat positions. They jokingly ask me what would my call sign be. I don't know what to answer. Only after they leave I do realize the question about my call sign was asked for a purpose. They were testing me to see if I'll be ready to join them. Behind the steering wheel is a driver with the call sign Batya. Batya knows these roads literally by heart. But even Batya's heart sometimes skips a beat. Things change here swiftly.
There, straight ahead. Where? This should be the road, right? Or the one further? Look for something. That looks like a trench.
And then, in this relentless pace of Frontline's life, all of a sudden, something strikes with its almost otherworldly normality. we return to Noosphere. The only way to be ready for a crisis on time is to be ready for it at all times. This applies both to life in general and to the sea in particular. At sea, anything is possible. That anything doesn't necessarily have to be a 12-scale storm on the Beaufort or a sea mine. Sometimes it shapeshifts to something completely trivial. Ukrainian fishing trawler Sea of Fellowship Doctor's toothache became so severe that he requested an emergency visit to our doctor at Noosphere. It might sound funny, unless, of course, it's your tooth that aches. The trawler carries 900 tons of high-quality Antarctic krill. As a gesture of gratitude, they treat us with some. We continue our journey. Scientists keep working, fine-tuning their equipment. There are not only Ukrainian researchers on board, this is a joint international project. Andriy Zotov is talking to a marine biologist from Germany, Isabel Zauermilch. The international research program Silicon focuses on sampling water, living organisms and soil samples to determine, amongst other things, a silicon contamination level in it. The scientists are preparing to lower trawl net to gather samples from the seabed. The trawl, which is capable of lowering a 30-ton load to depth up to 8 kilometers, begins its descent.
Oh, we are fishing now on 50.
Okay, yeah.
So then we will recover and see what we catch.
Yeah.
The net disappears beneath the water. Now we wait.
I'm here for 4 weeks on the expedition to collect a lot of different samples on the ocean. So krill, plankton, sediment samples, but then also on land some vegetation and soil samples, and yeah.
Seems like there's no krill in there. Maybe like something else instead. I'll be working as a geophysicist during the wintering period and also serving as the Vernadsky base commander.
Oh, there's one here. One here. Oh, we should make a photo.
We caught one! This will be my 3rd time leading the station and my 8th winter in Antarctica. All research stations in Antarctica exist for one reason: science. For our country, it's also about science, because very few nations have year-round Antarctic stations. It's a matter of prestige. It proves that we are ready for a certain level of international collaboration and prepared to face challenges.
The scientists first catch just a single krill, which undoubtedly makes it the most valuable krill on the planet. Zotov and marine biologist Marta Zedra set traps for algae and plankton. The work continues. This one and many other krill samples will contribute to an important international study on the spread of silicons in Antarctica. In fact, The current Noosphere expedition is a joint Ukrainian-Polish mission partially funded by the Polish Antarctic program. And while throwing in nets into the sea might seem mundane to an outsider, these are crucial scientific studies, especially in the context of the climate change.
Real de Castillo, amateur vessel Noosphere. After 10 minutes, we will approach to your anchorage position. Copy. Thank you. We will stand by on GP mode, so stand by 1316.
Okay, we are listening 13, and we wait for your instructions. Over.
Okay, thank you. Stand by.
On our way to Vernadsky base, the first stop is Deception Island, a volcanic island in the South Shetland Islands archipelago. Here, the Spanish Antarctic station Gabriel de Castilla is located. It is named after the Spanish admiral who, in 1603, sailed these waters and returned with the news of vast, snow-covered lands. Noosphere approaches Gabriel de Castilla base. We have brought them a cargo, a multi-tractor, necessary for working with the soft volcanic soils surrounding the station. A motorboat is lowered into the water. First, the boat goes on reconnaissance. Everything here is checked twice because mistakes are just too costly. The boat carrying the cargo sets off towards the shore. We too prepare to disembark. Deception Island, a former British whaling colony.
Nastya Kozlovich.
Yes, and Serhiy?
Serhiy. What was his last name again?
One moment. Otruba, Kadurin, Chiharyeva.
In the late 60s, two volcanic eruptions destroyed two research bases here. The island's center is essentially a lagoon surrounded by sharp cliffs, effectively a volcano's caldera submerged under the sea. For expedition like ours, Deception Island is a critical stop. It offers a rare opportunity to collect important geological samples. Since 1906, Deception Island, aptly named, was home to a whaling station. At its peak, up to 27 whaling ships and 12 floating processing stations operated here at the same time. The shore-based whaling station alone processed over 5,000 whale carcasses per year. Just think about that number. One station, 5,000 whales annually. Here whalers lived and died. Today the island belongs to its rightful inhabitants, fur seals, sea lions and penguins. In this glass jar, we found some whale oil that is over 100 years old. We decided not to check if it's still any good. Scientists begin collecting samples. Each is searching for something specific. An active volcano that could erupt at any moment differs geologically from many others worldwide. Any activity here could lead to the rapid melting of the vast ice masses. 99.9% of scientific work is the dull process of collecting and analyzing samples. The remaining 0.1%, however, is what makes it into great discoveries and Hollywood movies about them. While the Ukrainian expedition gathers materials to study future scenarios for life on Earth, Noosphere crew prepares for the final journey to the White Continent.
Understood, thank you. All right, then tomorrow morning at 8, we start the operation. Good night.
The night settles in. with silence and serenity. Even the readings on the navigation consoles seem to be breathing slowly. These are the final hours of the 29th expedition aboard Noosphere. Tomorrow morning, Operation Vernadsky begins. Morning. You open your eyes and see that icy, snowy, breathtakingly beautiful world. Frozen paradise. This must be one of those moments when everyone feels like a poet or a writer, anxious to find the right words to describe the surrounding beauty and just fail to. Perhaps because these words just do not even exist. The scientists and ship's crew prepare to lower a device into the water that will provide data on temperature, salinity, acidity, alkalinity, oxygen levels, and phytoplankton. The collected water samples will be stored in deep refrigeration. Just look at the scientists' faces. They are happy. These small vials of phytoplankton are true treasures to them, and to you just as well, even so if you don't know about it. We are almost there. The Ukrainian polar research base Vernadsky. Over the year, the 29th expedition will conduct studies in 3 primary fields here: biology, geophysics, and meteorology, while also maintaining the operation of the base. The National Antarctic Scientific Center Yevhen Dickey's director notes,
This is already the 3rd rotation since the beginning of the full-scale war. Finding professionals for year-long Antarctic missions is becoming increasingly difficult. Many ideal candidates are now on the front lines. There have already been cases where candidates selected for wintering later enlisted in the military instead.
But the Ukrainian scientific program will continue because Antarctica is a window into the outer world of global science.
Next boat comes after more people.
A long, exhausting year of daily work and isolation from the outside world is almost over for the members of the 28th expedition. For the 29th, everything is just beginning.
Take off your life jackets. Is that it? Careful.
tastes good. Try it. Feels like it's a piece of Ukraine in Antarctica. Is everyone out? Now that you're here, don't waste no time. All your bags are inside in the corridor, so you can identify them fast. Then you'll look where your cabins are and move your things in. Okay? Will Sviatozar be with you? In the office? Yes, I can take up to 2 people. Maybe now, so we don't have to wait. Sure, that's why I suggest we start now. Whose bag is this? If something happens or there's a leak or something, it's like this. One move and a pump hose is cut off.
The engineers from the 28th expedition introduced their colleagues from the 29th to the station's technical features. Noosphere has delivered 150 tons of fuel. This will be enough to keep the stations uninterrupted running for more than 6 months. Despite all the challenges and sometimes even life-threatening dangers, there has never been a year like this before. Throughout their year of forced isolation, every member of 28th expedition had one thought on their mind in common: about Ukraine and its fighting for survival. Would they all have a home to return to? No one talks about it. Everyone just works. Work saves you from thoughts and worthless conversations that cannot change anything. The war in Ukraine continues, with many former expedition members are now on the front lines, defending our independence and ensuring that scientists can continue studying the world for the sake of a better future for all of humanity. And we are back to the east, to the front lines in Ukraine. Russian positions are just 2 clicks away now. Here, operating in the direct combat zone, the airborne reconnaissance unit of a Ukrainian fighter we know already, Artem Ignatenko, the combat penguin, a veteran of Ukraine's 26th Antarctic expedition, is located. Airborne reconnaissance plays a crucial role in modern warfare. It saves lives of people who earlier were forced to do this work.
Hey, welcome to the Promised Land. Damn it, it's moving. That's it, gone. Guess he's not very photogenic. Or maybe there's still someone at position 30. Zoom in on position 30. We can try, but if anything, I'm coming back.
We've been granted a permission to see how aerial reconnaissance operates from within. This is an underground command post. Here, silence and camouflage are top priorities.
Roger that. 450, over. Welcome to my humble abode.
the command post of the 2nd Special Operations Company. From here, we direct all combat operations of our unit. Spartan conditions, yes. We need nothing more. There's neither time nor resources for anything extra. Do we have a signal?
The hunt begins. If the word hunt ruins your comfort somehow, rest assured the beast this unit is hunting is sapient. And it came here, to Ukrainian land, to kill. So let's wish the Ukrainians a successful hunt. Our first morning at Vernadsky Research Polar Base. Overnight, massive icebergs have drifted into the straits around the station. Where there was open water just yesterday, today smaller icebergs immediately took advantage of the rising tide. It's beautiful. A perfect time to get back to work.
Let's grab some tea. Yeah, the fuss should die down for now. Bogomaz, Koloskov, and Swina. They're on VLF Hut from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I'm hanging up my nameplate with your names, and I write, "We're head to the dome." What's the news there? It's snowing. The icebergs have floated in. Yeah, we have to go around them. No way through. Interesting. Maybe behind the arch? Right here. Good afternoon. Our departure time is 12:15. We'll check back in at 1. Everyone will know where we are. That's the protocol on the base. That's part of the job, part of the responsibilities of the base leader as the head of it. Not just working on the scientific or technical aspects, but also organizing all the operations on the base. It's a responsibility for absolutely everything. Sure, at first, when I was new to this, it was difficult and unfamiliar. Then later, when I fully realized that it is the base leader who determines how everything runs here, how the work flows, it became clear that, as someone with a relevant experience, I just had to do the job, and that's it. Over there, cracks are forming. A huge crack is running through the ice there. God forbid. Right now, it's covered in snow. And Nastya, darling, remember, it is recommended always to walk with a pole. As a base commander, this is my second time here, but overall, this is already my 10th Antarctic expedition. Could we feed our guests at the base? We should. Understood. One thing is scientific or technical work, but when you are responsible for all of the base, both for the scientific programs and for the scientists, for the people, well, it's a completely different matter. So I'll put it straightforward. It's not easy. Do I like it or not? Well, to be honest, just as I said, someone had to do this job, as simple as that. Anton, tell me, how far is it to Kharkiv from here?
About 15,000 kilometers, roughly.
This is Anton Pugovkin, a native of Kharkiv. Turns out, we live in the same district, just 300 meters apart. All right, Anton, we'll move on.
значну частину свого життя я вже
I've already dedicated a significant part of my life to the base. So when I was asked to return here, even during wartime, when no one knew how things would develop, of course, I accepted an offer because part of my life remains here, a piece of my heart. It was important to me.
Це для мене було важливо.
So the idea is we run the cable from here, then over there, then down that way, and there. It just follows the ground. Yes, it's on solid ground there. But can we drill or just hammer in anchors? Because it's high, and it won't get buried in the snow. We have a small hut here. It had to be placed far away from the main building to minimize the impact of the diesel generator. This area is an open field where our magnetometers are installed in several locations.
We are now in so-called Velef Hut. Velef Hut is a special building which was made by British Antarctic Survey in approximately 1980s. This is a special place where the British scientists measured the Velef fields. Antarctica is a very quiet place in electromagnetic sense, and it's possible to measure very, very weak signals. That's why British Antarctic Survey made these in 80, and this equipment worked until this station became Ukrainian. The main idea, if we can measure with good accuracy these radiation, it's possible to use special scientific model to estimate the lightning radiation all over the world. Since 2002, we continue these ELF measurements until now, uninterruptedly. We have now the longest arrays of ELF data in Antarctica for sure, and hopefully in the world also.
Science is important. Penguins are cute. The nature of Antarctica is majestic and mysterious. This is why understanding it scientifically is of utter importance.
Here, we conduct marine zoological research. We study ocean depths around the Argentine islands and analyze the distribution of seabed sediments. So why are we doing all of this, after all? Studies that require an expensive research vessel, boats, and specialized equipment. The Vernadsky research base is located in a geologically unique area. For instance, the Punta Strait. It is a two-layered phenomenon. Our research is linked to tectonic movements and shifts in lithospheric plates. But there's another aspect to it. In relatively recent geological history, this entire area was a massive glacial valley. During the last ice age, when the ocean levels were much lower, this was all covered by glaciers. Now they're receding. We can see them over there. But back then, they extended much further, completely covering the Punta Strait. This raises an important question. Over just a few thousand years, perhaps the first 10,000 years, this entire region became ice-free. This is a clear example of climate change. By creating a topographical model, we realized that sediment accumulation likely started here earlier than in other parts of the region. That's why we prioritize reaching this area first. This year, we plan to expand our research, conduct more studies, build on what we started 2 years ago, and gain a deeper understanding of this territory.
We are leaving Noosphere for the time being and return to the east of Ukraine, where former Antarctic expedition member Alexander Knyazhatko now serves in the military.
Now we're going down. We'll stop by my place so I can grab my body armor and a helmet. If we go with the mortar crew to launch the Partisan, I need to have my own gear.
This is the secret trail into the green, where we've been promised an introduction to Partisan.
Volvo, this is Anaconda. Do you copy?
The Partisan, a single missile from a multiple launch rocket system Grad, mounted on a tripod. I wonder if the Americans ever disassemble their HIMARSs in such a way.
Copy that.
Back to the Vernadsky base.
Mr. Kadurin and Oleg, you know them. You're at MP5 on the islands.
This is the tech team that, trust me on that, has a lot to do. Well, let's do the math. Besides the routine security of the base workflow, they are responsible for
the station itself is quite old. Over time, its engineering systems have deteriorated. That's why materials were purchased in advance, even before the full-scale invasion began. During last season, the entire heating system was completely replaced. All 3 generators here have female names, a tradition inherited from the British. The guys who installed them got to name them. This is Marichka, Sophia, and Amelia. First and foremost, I must say, we have a great tech team, a very strong crew. That's what matters most. Well, you see the working conditions here? That makes a huge difference. We also fully rebuilt the boiler room.
Це така міні-котельня, яка дає тепло на нашу станцію.
This is a mini boiler room, providing heat for the entire base. Here, we also have fresh drinking water tanks. And there's a desalination system that converts seawater into fresh water. We literally built the road to transport the boilers. Concrete was poured as a basement. Besides being a welder, I had to take on other jobs. Engine repairs, boat engine maintenance, transporting specialists across the islands. That's part of my work as a driver. There's still work left to finish, which will complete the task list we have planned. Will we get the chance to implement another such plan? That's up to the leadership of the National Antarctic Scientific Center and the situation in our country. On my t-shirt, that's me with my grandson. I once promised him that one day I'd bring him to Vernadsky base. When he was born, he was 2 years old while I was here. Now he's 19.
Wishing I'd live in a generation with no haters in line, human rights and no starvation. I want to let you know that.
Продуктів вистачає, їх достатньо.
We have enough supplies, ranged from standard canned goods to fresh vegetables. Provisions delivered by Noosphere twice a year. The first time when the expedition arrives, we stock up on fresh fruits, vegetables, meat, and everything else. Then, about 8 months later, another delivery brings fresh supplies. By that time, the initial stock is nearly depleted, though some reserves remain in refrigerated storage. Our station also receives visitors from other countries, who sometimes share fresh vegetables, fruits, and treats with us. Creativity flourishes here, even in baking. For example, I use a special sourdough starter. It's called starter culture. It makes the bread more interesting and healthier for digestion.
From Antarctic cuisine, we switch to the battlefield one.
Why are you just standing there? Stir it. I heard the mortar crew gave you some trouble yesterday.
Yesterday, the commander said that when we come to film here, you must fry some zucchini.
Well, no surprise the commander requested zucchini. It's his favorite dish.
In over 50 degrees heat on Celsius, even a somewhat cold soup like okroshka surely is a blessing in the trenches. We are heading out to test Vampire, a new Ukrainian drone that the Russians have nicknamed Baba Yaga. I think you can guess why. The war in Ukraine has led to revolution indeed in the use of UAVs as weapons. Never before has there been such a demand for them. According to estimates by the Royal United Service Institute, the Ukrainian Armed Forces spent around 10,000 drones per month.
And isn't it ironic that the same very drone that serves as a deadly weapon can be used as a tool of science to study wildlife? At war in Ukraine, or in science in Antarctica. Every day, both of them, our scientists and our soldiers, find new ways to exploit drone capabilities. They conduct reconnaissance, deliver supplies, and most importantly, destroy the enemy.
Whether in Antarctica or on the front lines, the same questions arise. How do you endure the trial? How do you maintain your mental stability? How do you find and hold on to meaning? Everyone has to find answers on their own. And here, in the Eastern Front Line in Ukraine, the words of his spiritual father take on a special significance. They offer comfort, at least for the duration of a prayer.
The war will end. Sooner or later, it will be over. And then you will sit down and write your memoirs. How God saved me. And I bet it won't just be one book. We must understand. We don't have to be liked by everyone. We don't have to judge or justify others. We simply have to stand together, shoulder to shoulder.
Господа животворящого, що від Отця і Сина ісходить, що з Отцем і Сином рівно поклоняємо і рівно славимо, що говорив через пророків, єдину святу соборну апостольську церкву і сповідую одне хрещення на відпущення гріхів.
The Stendhal effect. It's when you become overwhelmed by too much beauty. At some point, the sheer majesty of Antarctica drives you mad. And then you remember everyone at Vernadsky Polar Base is responsible for preserving this beauty.
In the end of expedition, I feel myself blessed every day because I'm so grateful to the world, to Ukrainian Antarctic Center, to a lot of people that I got this opportunity to work for one more year in Antarctica. This is my second year-round expedition, and I was a part of 2 year-round expedition and 1 seasonal squad. I'm performing some stages of different scientific projects, and most of them are collecting data or pre-processing data. I'm performing all the things for a project, first of all, for that one which is connected to zooplankton studies. And then I'm doing penguin scouts, and I'm collecting data about marine mammals. Most of them connected with whales. First of all, I'm measuring them with a drone. I have custom equipment on my drone, and I use it to measure the whale. So I'm just uploading this data to Happy Whale database and running these images through the algorithm, which determines if there is a match with something which is in a database. And this is a collaboration between Ukrainian Antarctic Scientific Center and the University of California. We are collecting these biopsies, and then we are processing it in the University of California, yes. This is all about demography of the whales, which we could meet around our islands in our region, about their demography and the level of their stress hormones.
For Ukraine, participation in Antarctic research is crucial. It ensures our involvement in global scientific effort and contributes to the economy. Communication, its importance in the modern world cannot be overstated, really. Scientific data, or the ability to see loved ones during a year of forced isolation, all of this is the responsibility area of one person at Vernadsky Polar Base.
I sit here, browsing the internet with a divine window view, as you can see. Watching penguins, helping the scientists watch penguins, and making sure they can stay connected with each other and with their families. We currently have 3 communication channels. One of them is the primary channel we use full-time, Starlink. Our Starlink connection gives us download speeds of 120 to 150 megabits per second and upload speeds of 40 to 60 megabits per second. That's excellent, because if something happens to Starlink, our backup channel only provides 4 megabits per second download and 2 megabits per second upload. And if both main channels fail, we have a third option, BGAN, a satellite internet system. But BGAN works on a per megabyte basis, just like mobile networks in the early 2000s. $10 per megabyte. For comparison, if you open Gmail, or in our case, Zoho Mail, and send a 50 kilobyte email, that's $200 just for one message. When you work in IT, you basically live in a computer. You learn English online, study online, work online. Everything is online. The only thing that changed for me, really, was my physical location. Before, I was in Ukraine. Now, I'm in Antarctica. That's it. For me, as an IT specialist, it's really rewarding to walk through the station and see the guys talking to their families on the phone. That's my best feedback.
In your eyes,
Nighttime. In the frozen paradise of Antarctica, or on the eastern front line in Ukraine, where soldiers never sleep defending our country over and over again, everyone is doing their part in this fight.
This is Variati. We're in position. There, I see the target near the bush. Initiate the recording. All right, send it. Baton, checking in.
to be yours forevermore. When we're older.
After the successful testing, we are transporting the Vampire drone to the front line. Boys are attaching a payload to it.
In your hair.
But these drones don't just fight in heat like that, they also deliver water to our fighters. An hour before sunrise, time to head back.
said it wouldn't fit, but it fits all right.
We now return to the scientists at Vernadsky Polar Base. Researchers from Ukraine, Poland and Germany are already awake and working on things like climate change studies, plankton research, and realizing once again how lucky they are to find themselves in such a unique location.
There are 3 biological laboratories at the station. This is one of them, where I spent 2 years working. Right now, we're preparing for the crew rotation. We've moved equipment to new locations so the incoming team can settle in and we can pass on our knowledge and experience from the past 2 years. International cooperation is crucial, and Antarctica is the best example of exactly that. Currently, our research program includes scientists from Poland and Germany. Researchers from Asia and North America have also shown interest in collaborating. This gives Ukrainian science a seat at the table, allowing us to work alongside our international colleagues and produce results that are valuable not just locally, but worldwide.
I'm going to investigate these echinoderms. I mean, precisely it will be sisters and brittle stars. The aim of our study is to investigate the bioaccumulation of metals in skeletons of those specimens, and we are going to compare this chemical composition with the genetic backgrounds. I work on benthic invertebrates in the context of climate warming and ocean acidification, so it is a very interesting currently topic.
Antarctica is one of the best places in the world for a biologist to work. It is one of the most unique continents and ecosystems on the planet. The mysteries of Antarctica are unlike any other biological puzzle we study. Sure, there are fascinating environments in Ukraine, in Europe, on other continents, but Antarctica stands alone. It is the most mysterious, the most unique, the most isolated environment on Earth. In all my years in science, I have never met a biologist who was indifferent to Antarctica.
I have 14 years experience in the Arctic, and I thought that it will be exactly the same, but this environment is completely different. Animals are different, their behavior in the environment is completely different, and I need to gain more knowledge to increase my effectiveness.
My research at the station over the past 2 years has focused on the impact of global climate change on plant and animal ecosystems. I also study different types of parasitic organisms, specifically fish parasites. This field examines organisms that live inside other organisms. We all know about diseases that spread through birds, like avian flu. Recently, avian flu was detected in Antarctica. There have been recorded bird deaths near Vernadsky and other research stations. By conducting a global monitoring effort and collaborating with other stations, we can track where this outbreak started. By identifying the source, we can determine which bird species introduced it. Understanding migration patterns can help us pinpoint how the virus arrived here. This gives us the ability to predict its spread and even develop strategies to contain it. Since avian flu can be transmitted to humans, this research has direct implications for global public health. Year after year, we study what Antarctica is and what life in Antarctica entails. We try to understand how its ecosystem and geology respond to changes, the warming observed on the Antarctic Peninsula, and, of course, how it reacts to human activity. Everything I have been fortunate enough to witness here, I share through photographs. Right now, these images are part of a series of exhibitions in the United States. We showcase the work of Ukrainian polar researchers, offer a glimpse into the land where the Ukrainian Antarctic base is located, and we talk about Antarctic science, the key research areas, and the flora and fauna of Antarctica, because many species exist only here and nowhere else in the world.
I want to be one and only for a day. I wish we'd be together, I wish it to be forever. I want to be one and only for a day. just for one day. Just for one day.
What's your name in Penguinish? Do you speak? Yeah, you do. I don't. And so it is over. A significant, though somewhat bittersweet moment, the final day of the 28th scientific expedition at Vernadsky Polar Base.
This year passed so incredibly fast. That's a good thing, really, because when time flies, it means there was progress. It means the station was operating efficiently. This is a special key, my friend. I officially hand it over to you now.
The transfer of keys from one expedition to another is a long-standing tradition established by the British when they handed over the research base to Ukraine. Key represents full responsibility for the maintenance and operation of the station.
29th Expedition, welcome! You are now the rightful crew of Vernadsky Research Base and the 28th Expedition. We are not forcing you out. Stay as long as you want. This was your home for a year. I wish you a safe journey home. Whatever you built or started here, we will do our best not only to preserve it, but to maintain it at the high standard you set, or even improve upon it, because we must always strive for growth. Congratulations! Thank you for leaving us such a well-maintained station. Truly, Antarctica is like a drug, one for which there is no cure. You cannot help but fall in love with it. Even though it is cold, it embeds itself deep in your heart like a shard of ice and stays there. I plan to serve in the military as an IT specialist. If I was able to rebuild the network and establish a stable internet connection in Antarctica, then I believe my skills will be extremely valuable where they are truly needed. I am now a serviceman, returning to the army, but I simply cannot tell you where exactly I will be. I don't even hope to see my family right now. My brother, who is also at war, is preparing to return to Kiev at this time. Maybe we'll get to see each other for a few hours. That alone would make me very happy.
First of all, I can't wait to meet my newborn son. He's only 5 months. I can't wait to hold him, you know.
In my opinion, the best way for Ukrainian scientists is to join collaboration with other scientists, other people, and slowly back to normality.
If we have the opportunity, we must preserve everything we had before the war. We cannot allow the enemy to take satisfaction in thinking they have destroyed our culture, our country, our lives. That is why all Ukrainians are doing everything they can to preserve what they can. We contribute our small part to a greater cause, a victorious cause. To be honest, if I hadn't enlisted to the army, which was my personal decision, I would be in the 29th expedition now because I had passed every stage of the selection process. We must believe. I think all Ukrainians and all those who support us believe that Ukraine will endure. Ukraine will prevail. Let's believe in the future of our science, our Antarctic program, and in the overall prosperity of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine, and victory to all of us.
And it's been only now that I've suddenly realized what I've let slip away back then when I just started telling this story. Back then, it wasn't personal for me yet, and the sole purpose and value of my work as a journalist is to make stories personal in general, and the story of Ukrainian pole explorers who became fighters for their very life and freedom in particular. The story of someone who had to trade microscopes for weapons. We leave the 29th expedition to build upon what previous expeditions have created before them, while the 28th expedition heads home to Ukraine. But what awaits them back there?
Vernadsky is a high-quality British-built station, but it was constructed in the 1970s. Half a century is still half a century. Looking to the future, what would an ideal Antarctic program for Ukraine look like? We should already be thinking about Vernadsky 2.0, a station built entirely using 21st century technologies. A small station in East Antarctica and a research station in the Svalbard archipelago in Norway, in the Arctic, and one icebreaker to service all three stations. I believe that Ukraine is fully capable of supporting such a program. Of course, not right now, but in Ukraine, we will rebuild after the war. In Ukraine, that will already be a member of the European Union.